This is the River Monnow in northeast Monmouthshire. In fact, I'm right on the Welsh-English border. This is England, and this is Wales. So along this part of the Monnow, it marks the border between the two countries. And I'm going to go for a nice walk today on the famous Three Castles route, which is part of the historic Welsh marches. And the Welsh marches effectively are the border counties between England and Wales. And the Three Castles route that I'm walking today, it's 19-mile-ish walk through the Monmouthshire countryside, and I'm going to go through three historic castles, the first of which is Skenfrith, just behind these trees over here. And those castles were part of a line of defence along the Welsh marches, and also to control transport routes between Monmouthshire and Herefordshire, England and Wales. Got a little busy on the roads, but it's a beautiful, nice rural area, lovely country pub here behind me as well. So I haven't had an adventure for a while. I'm looking forward to this one. I'm going to do a nice big loop through the Monmouthshire countryside, visit the three historic castles, hopefully stop off somewhere along the way for a nice country pub lunch, and have some time connecting and relaxing in this beautiful countryside. This is the first of the castles on my three castles visit, Skenfrith. I've been here a few times, first time for a while. I'll take you on a little explore. This central keep dominates the castle at Skenfrith. I'll take you inside it now. And this large keep, of course, would have been super important from a defence point of view. The surrounding land here is quite low-lying, so a large dominating keep would have been quite imposing. And Skenfrith, one of the main roles of Skenfrith Castle was to protect the river crossing areas between Wales and England, to have control over that. You don't want anyone crossing that you don't want to cross. And I guess a dominant castle in this region would have held sway over the wider countryside and had the control that its owners desired. So I'm going to take you down to the river now. This castle is right by the River Monnow, and there's a nice little exit way out here that brings us right down to the castle. Right down to the river. So I'm just taking you down now from this beautiful keep down to the river. Just been chatting to a nice lady who's been wild swimming this morning. I was a little envious. I need to get out and have a dip myself soon. I haven't had a wild swim yet this year. Here we go. Here's the River Monnow, as you can see, right next door to the castle. So that castle and the keep would have clearly had an imposing view over all this region and controlled any of the river crossings here. What a beautiful little spot. The River Monnow. There's a nice doggy having a swim up there as well. The next castle I'm going to visit is Grosmont, and that's more or less in line with the border and the River Monnow. which runs all along this section of the England-Wales divide. So I'm going to travel northward through the beautiful countryside, pretty close to this river, to Grosmont Castle. I'll bring you up that way soon. Let's just pop back in for a little while to explore some more. Got a little overgrown around the edges here. Hello. She's loving life.
Come on. Yeah, she is.
Whoa.
Come on, Lola. Good girl. Come on. Ready? Left. Ready? Lola.
That was a nice lady. I was just chatting to her. She lives down in the Forest of Dean as well. Here with her dog Lola to enjoy the beautiful river. One of the nicest things about getting out exploring, you just meet so many nice people all enjoying the countryside together. This has really lifted my spirits already. Been feeling a bit down lately, to be honest, so carving out a little adventure for myself, coming out into the countryside to explore. It's lifted my mood, given me a bit of excitement and zest for life again. So I'm going to continue on. Let's go pop back into the main castle, keep for a while in the main area, have a few more minutes here, and I guess I best get moving through the countryside. I'm just hoping I can navigate my way okay today. I'm not quite as prepared as I perhaps should be in terms of mapping. I've downloaded all the trail on my phone, which is okay of course, but ideally you'd have a paper backup as well, a proper map to read through. And I have one that covers some of the route but not all of it, but we should be okay. I'll find my way. Grosmont, as I mentioned, is the next one. North from here, it more or less follows the line of the river, so we'll have a nice amble through the countryside to find our way there. In fact, let me just quickly show you on this sign roughly what my route is. So here's a bit of detail. 3 castles. This is the one I'm at the moment, Skenfrith. And obviously I'm going to follow along the England-Wales border to Grosmont, another beautiful castle. And a nice little settlement around Grosmont. I've been to a nice country pub there before. I may stop there and have some early lunch and a relaxing drink and snack. And then after Grosmont, I'm going to come back southwest to White Castle. And then obviously from White Castle I'll make my way back to Skenfrith here where I've parked my car. So the Grange, which you may have seen from previous videos I've done, that incredible rewilding project that I'm involved in Monmouthshire, that's roughly around here. So I spend a lot of time in the Grange, and it's amazing to watch nature recovery and watching the land coming back to life there. In fact, I'm going out to stay at the Grange for a few days next week, which I'm quite excited about. So what I'm really keen to kind of enhance my knowledge of is the surrounding countryside around the Grange and that nature connectivity opportunities that might be there. So this is a nice little adventure for me today, taking in some of my most loved things: history, natural heritage, nature connection, all of those things. I think my route north's going to take me alongside this row of trees up here. I'm just actually reading a little bit more detail around the history of these castles. It says, standing on the banks of the River Monnow, Skenfrith Castle was built along with Grosmont and White Castle, these 3, to impose Norman control over Wales' southern border after they invaded in the late 11th century. So yeah, as already mentioned, these castles would have obviously exerted a lot of control over the region, and I can imagine back in the day, in their prime, how majestic they looked and how imposing they would have been. This is what I love exploring about this region, all the historic Welsh marches, all of that borderland between England and Wales. There's so much history here, there's so much heritage, and it's nice to peel back the layers and to imagine how life may have been back then. So peaceful, just heading north out of Skenfrith now. So following this little country lane, it's going to weave round to the right and then meander along by the riverside for a while, and then slightly northwest towards Grosmont. And this is one of my first waypoints up here. The highest point up ahead, that clump of trees, that's Birch Hill. So that's on my map, that's part of my route. So it's always good when you're out navigating, finding your way around, to have waypoints, landmarks that help you find your way and obviously orientate yourself in terms of the directions, know which way is north, south, east and west, and have an idea in your mind which direction you need to be heading. Pick out your waypoints en route and make your way towards them. So even though I'm not as organised or as prepared as I should be, I'm still tapping back into some of that old ranger knowledge and I guess information that I accumulated over the years in my time as a Peak District volunteer National Park Ranger. We did lots of navigation exercises and during my military days as well. As I say, it's important to orientate yourself within the landscape, have your significant landmarks, like I know the river is to my right, I know Birch Hill is up to my north, and I know which direction I need to be heading. So you'll always be there or thereabouts once you can have your significant features in the landscape aligned in your mind as to where they are in relation to where you are as well. And it's important maybe to stop every now and again, take a few moments and feel yourself back into that landscape where you are. Just double check. Ooh, and I've got some signs up ahead here to confirm my route. So yep, an acknowledgement I'm on the right trail. And for future reference, I'll definitely be a little bit more organised. This was a bit of a last minute kind of idea. It just came to mind. Here we go. So you got the 3 castles on this signpost. Grosmont, which is my next port of call. Skenfrith, which I've just come from. And eventually I'll make my way to White Castle. But for now, I'm on the way to Grosmont. This is Garway Hill, up in the distance up here. Beautiful spot. I love Garway Hill. I've had a couple of nice experiences up there. Lovely late evening hikes. I slept out under the stars up there one night. Really iconic area. Brilliant spot for night sky gazing. So another walk I'm going to do, it might be my next upload, is a nice loop around Garway Hill, and I'll talk you a little bit more in depth about some of the history of Garway. But it's nice to see it in relation to where I am now. I knew it was quite close to the Monmouthshire border. Garway is in Herefordshire, but yeah, nice to see it from the other side. And yep, still on the right track here. I can see my 3 castles walk trail, so I'm making sure I'm picking up the markers as I move along. What a beautiful day. So obviously the trail is not so obvious anymore. It's gone from that nice country lane to these little tiny greenways that are slightly overgrown now. But the river is just down to my right hand side, and in navigation we call that hand railing, using a natural feature as a navigational aid. So as long as I keep the river on my right and keep heading north and then northwest, I'll be fine. I'll make my way to Grosmont. Just emphasises that case in point that I mentioned a few moments ago about being aware of where you are in the landscape and what's around you, and just having check-ins every now and again to make sure that you're on the right track. And to be fair, so far the marker posts are pretty prominent. They're quite regular. Look at this beautiful oak tree. So that's a really good way to reassure yourself and keep yourself on the right track. As I mentioned as well a while ago, normally I would have a laminate map with me just as a backup feature, which you really should have when you're out hiking in the countryside. Let someone know where you're going, tell them what time you started and kind of what your expected finish time is, because the last thing you want is to get yourself in trouble, get yourself lost. And on these long summer days it's not quite so bad, because obviously there's a lot of daylight hours, but on a shorter winter's day, for example, where it may be dark quite early, the last thing you want is to get yourself in trouble and get yourself totally lost or disorientated as the light levels are dropping. Sometimes you learn the hard ways. I've had a few close calls over the years, but it's always best to come prepared, of course, on any countryside adventure that you might choose to come on. The landscape is really changing as I'm moving around. Nice farmed landscape here, as you can see, but lots of tree coverage as well. Beautiful blue skies today. Just saw a nice buzzard on this field. Had lots of swifts a little while ago. Garway Hill is up here still, up to my right hand side, and I'm going to start soon veering more over towards this way, over towards the northwest. Some beautiful oak trees en route. Look at the bough of this one. My estimate is at least 400 years old, probably more, 500. Close to 600 even. I mean, that is a pretty broad trunk. Generally for oak trees they say a double arm width is about 100 years. And when I'm with my groups on my ranger sessions back in the Forest of Dean, we got a couple of big mature oak trees, and some of them it takes 4 people to fit around, and this one seems bigger, so at least 500 years, possibly more. Beautiful. Just by another beautiful oak tree, and this incredible fungi caught my attention. It's huge. It's a dryad saddle, apparently. Never seen one of these before. Did a little bit of quick research, and apparently they're quite widespread globally, and they are the largest capped mushroom in the UK. I'd like to read up a little bit more about them, but I need to conserve my phone battery, and obviously the connection here is not brilliant. So when I get a chance to rest and recharge later on, I'm going to read up a little bit more about this incredible specimen. Dryad's saddle attached to this beautiful oak tree. Still en route northbound, Garway Hill, almost directly due east of me now. Just came through this farmscape here behind me. Had a mild moment of, I wouldn't say panic, but a little moment of confusion where I thought I'd lost the trail for a moment. But it's always good if that happens, just to stop, take stock. Sometimes you need to retrace your steps back to the last point where you knew exactly where you were, and move on from there. But I just took a couple of moments. I thought there's no other obvious trail, so it must bring me through this farmyard. And I actually met the farmer there, and he was nice and friendly, and he said, yeah, you're on the right track, keep going this way. So yeah, starting to feel it now. It's quite hot today, obviously. It's almost 11:30 now, so we're almost into that midday sun. Lots of butterflies about today, which is a good sign, and it is nice to get all this good weather, obviously, after the wet summer we've had so far. Yeah, here's a good view of Galway. But obviously, to state the needs that you would want to take into account whenever you're out hiking like this, it makes sense, of course, to bring plenty of water with you and some food. Of course, I have got a packed lunch in my bag here, but I'll probably save that for later on, because when I get to Grosmont, I know it's a nice little town, and I'll probably top up there and find somewhere for a nice cooling drink and hopefully a bit of light lunch. And I'll save my packed lunch for a little bit later, because when I come back via White Castle and then I have to make my way back to Skenfrith, it's quite a long drag across the fields from what I've been looking at on the map, so I need to make the most of where I can stock up on provisions as well. But for now, I'm enjoying the shade of this nice country lane. Almost made a classic error, so I've come up from the farm and you come to a road junction here, and obviously I can see a waymark track leading down through the field on the opposite side. So your initial reaction is, oh, that must be the way. But I didn't see a tree castle sign, so I just stopped and checked my my download map, and I realised that I need to actually go right here and then left through the pond up there. And I just doubled back slightly, back along the farm track, and just to confirm what I've come up with, I saw a sign for the Tree Castles Walk to the right, but look how easy it would be to miss that little sign. So it's a case in point, whenever you come to a junction like this, take your time, stop, take a moment, unless it's obvious that your trail is straight ahead, for example. Just stop, double check your map source, and ensure that you're on the right trail. If you start walking off the wrong way, get yourself totally disorientated. And as I mentioned earlier, if things like the weather is changing or it's getting dark, you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble. So I've learned this over the years: slow down a little bit when you get to the junctions especially, and ensure that you're on the right trail. Just take a moment, and a little bit of time looking at the map or checking your route will save you a lot of time in the long run if you were, for example, to go the wrong way. So I'm on the right track once more. I'm looking forward to that nice cooling drink at Grosmont. And here we go, back to the more obvious waymarkers again. So yeah, easy to get a little bit excited and potentially go the wrong way. And that's a lesson I've learned over the years. And if my friend Nick is watching this, he's probably having a little giggle to himself. Years ago, myself and Nick had a lovely day hike up on the Kinder Plateau in the Peak District. And on the way down, I felt I knew the way down. Nick felt it was a different direction. And we kind of just took the middle ground between what both of us thought was the right way. So we kind of made a rushed decision and rushed our descent down off the hill because it was starting to get a bit late and dark. But we ended up coming down the wrong side of the plateau, and added a lot of extra miles to our journey. We got to the we got to the I think it was Hayfield village. We had parked in Edale on the other side, and went straight into the first pub, got ourselves a drink, looked at the map, and the landlord kind of laughed and said, "Come down the wrong side." We were both like, "Yes." He said, "You wouldn't believe how often that happens." So, you know, we learn the most from making mistakes, I guess. Nick certainly still winds me up about that one, and I was beating myself up a bit, but case in point, learned my lessons from it. Now I always take time to take measured decisions. If you're not sure 100%, just stop, sit down, take a moment, look at your map, and get yourself back on the right track again. The last thing you want, especially when you're doing an 18 or 19 mile loop like I am today, on a hot day like today, that last thing that you need is to add extra unnecessary miles to yourself. So I'm glad I just took a moment back there. Well, I'm on some high ground now again. It's actually more steep than I thought, this route. I've done a lot of up and down, mostly up so far, but that's okay. I'm enjoying it. It's a nice bit of exercise for me. Whoa, look at this beautiful oak tree, or trees, growing out of the rock face here. Incredible root structure. Isn't nature incredible? And this is what I love about getting out hiking in the countryside. Look at all this amazing landscape. I've been listening to buzzards mewing and red kites calling as well, circling in the sky above. Meadow pipits and skylarks too. Absolutely beautiful. Oh, there's a buzzard above. Just what was needed, to be honest. I haven't got out for quite a while, so I really needed this adventure today. I've got a long way to go, so I'm just trying to pace myself. Another beautiful tree behind us here, nice big ash tree this time. I love ash. I've got fond memories from my childhood of hanging out in ash trees. I used to climb some ash trees down in the local woodland. And unfortunately, there's been a lot of ash dieback right across Europe, really, so it's led to large scale cutbacks of ash. You know, lots of big mature trees have been chopped down because when the disease infects the tree, some of the upper boughs, you know, they go dead and they can just drop and they become quite a hazard. So it's been quite sad to see a lot of the ash trees chopped down. So it's really nice to find this one. Look at this big bough on this ash tree as well. Beautiful. And ash is a great tree for wildlife. You'll often see woodpecker holes in the ash tree. Brilliant for all sorts of birds and invertebrates. And just generally speaking, a really nice tree. Look at all this beautiful landscape around me. I've got a little bit further to go up this way, and I think I reached the highest point up there, and I might stop. I give myself a light snack break and just take a few moments to rest before moving on down to Grosmont. You can see how the weather has changed as well, darker clouds above. And it's another case in point, when you're out hiking in the countryside, always bring a bag of provisions, have some wet gear, have a warm top, have a change of socks, and maybe a change of light clothing as well, along with your snacks and your water and your map. So lots to take into account when you're out for long hikes in the countryside. But to be honest, there's nowhere else I would rather be right now. There's some red kites circling overhead now. Love seeing this bird. Quite a common sight now over the Welsh countryside, and in many parts of England as well. And it's not so long ago they were persecuted so much they were almost driven to national extinction. So it's so good to see them back. Lovely countryside for them here. And they've got lots of nice nesting habitat as well. So yeah, beautiful bird, the red kite. Doing quite well in Ireland now as well, which is heartening to see. Just come along this trail, heading through the woodland. Nice to have the shade. And another beautiful tree, nice beech tree this time. I love beech. There was a nice beech woodland, Glenmullen Woods, down my childhood playground near where I grew up, and spent many an hour climbing beech trees. So I've got quite an affinity for beech trees as well. Some beautiful trees en route today: oak, ash, beech. Gonna take this track a little bit further, sit down and have a nice drink and a light snack break, and then eventually get down to Grosmont. And finally, I can see Grosmont just down below me. Won't be long now till I'll be having that nice cooling drink. You can see the Black Mountains on the eastern edge of the Brecon Beacons here in the distance as well. That's Hay Bluff, which I've had many a nice walk along. So all along that ridgeline, you've got part of Offa's Dyke National Trail, which is 187 miles all along the England-Wales border, and that's definitely a long distance hike I want to do someday. For now, I'm quite content doing my Three Castles route, and I found a nice bench where I'm going to sit and admire this view for a little while before popping down to visit the second castle, Grosmont. Oh, I like this. Here we go, castle number 2, Grosmont. I quite like this one. I've only been here a couple of times before, but obviously quite a lot of the ruins of this castle still standing, set in some incredible countryside. So I'll take you for a little tour inside. Nice drawbridge over here. A lot more information about this particular castle here and how it used to be. Long history going back to the early 13th century. Beautiful skies have come out nice and clear again, nice blue skies. Wow, impressive. The history here, got another visitor up there. The history here in these borderlands is pretty special. And that's what I love in Britain and Ireland and right across Europe really, is just the years of history, how you can peel back stories throughout the centuries. Just coming to the sign. And so this is the basement storerooms. The hall above you was where the great gatherings took place. Everyone had their place according to rank, and the lord, his family and honoured guests ate at the high table. Everyone else on long tables below them. Beautiful. I like to step back in time and visualise how life was for those people who had their home here. Again, you can imagine this back in its heyday, how imposing it was, how domineering it was over the surrounding landscape. Pretty special place to visit. I'm going to go up where this gentleman is up there in a few moments and get a nice, hopefully, aerial view of it all. So I'm up on the high point now, as you can see. Nice view down over the ruins. This is quite well preserved still. Obviously there was a great tower here before, and to this side as well. And standing here you can get a scale again for the commanding position you would have up on the battlements, the moat down there. Incredibly off-putting for any would-be attackers. What a quaint little village. Lots of swifts swooping around over this church steeple. I love swifts. Perhaps my favourite bird. Highlight of a summer for me. Listening to the swifts screeching through the sky and watching them soaring effortlessly. They'll be back to Africa soon. Always a bit sad when they go back. But for now, they're helping to lift my spirits. I've just got to take it easy around these old ruined castles, quite steep steps down. Got to keep your eye on the ball. Again, you can see how imposing this would have been back in its heyday. Okay, that was a quick tour of Grosmont. I'm ready now for that nice cold drink. See you soon. So my plan for a nice cold drink went out the window because the pub is closed. It doesn't open until 5 and it's only 1:30 now. So I'm going to sit and relax on this bench for a little while and just soak up the tranquility. And obviously, as mentioned earlier, I brought some snacks of my own, so I'll tuck into those now and hopefully find a nice country pub later on. Quite a relaxing place to be. So, after all my talk of stopping for a nice cold drink in Grosmont, the pub was closed. So it goes to show, best laid plans and all, you should always have a contingency plan. That's okay. As I mentioned, I had my provisions with me, so I stopped for a little rest, and it's quite a pull on the way up out of Grosmont now, so just taking a little breather here on this nice field, letting my feet breathe a little bit, taking my footwear off for a while. I've had a lot of foot pain over the last 3 years. I've got 2 long-standing injuries, totally different. Morton's neuroma on my right foot, and on my left foot, accessory navicular syndrome. It's quite complex. I can go into more detail about that another time perhaps, but yeah, a lot of foot pain, and it's been really tough for me because I've always been highly active. Obviously I'm an ex-soldier, I was a martial artist for years and a competitive boxer and kickboxer, and I ran marathons and half marathons and road races and cross-country races and ultra marathons as well. So I've always been a super active person, and I knew I would slow down a bit obviously as I got a bit older, but this foot pain has really impacted me massively. It's impacted me mentally, to be honest. A lot of times I get a bit down because I can't quite do all the high energy stuff that I used to do, but it's important to plug in and still have some adventures. So what I'm doing today is fine, as long as I take it steady, take regular breaks, let my feet breathe a little bit, get that footwear off, and just have some rest. It's throbbing a little bit now, my left foot, and I still have a long way to go. I've got to get to White Castle and then all the way back to Skenfrith as well, so still quite a way to go, but I'm enjoying it. Beautiful place to be. What else would I rather be doing on a day like today? I did write some notes before I came on this walk, and just for a little bit more information on the 3 castles. So they were obviously established by the Normans in the wake of their conquest in 1066 to protect the route from Wales to Hereford. So that's why these 3 castles are here. In 1135, a major Welsh revolt took place. In response, King Stephen brought these castles together to form a lordship, which continued to play a role in defending the region for centuries. And obviously some repair work and castle extensions were carried out in the 12th century and updates in the 13th century as well. So a long centuries of history around this landscape. Really nice to get out and explore it and just spend some quite peaceful time here. And what I've been doing a little bit of as well, while I've just been relaxing here on this hillside, is just a bit of simple cloud gazing. Cloud gazing is a simple activity that we probably all did as children, but for some reason we kind of stopped doing it as adults. But just sitting and watching the clouds, it's quite a mindful thing to do. It can boost your creativity and stimulate our mental health positively, so really good. It makes you feel connected to something broader, something wider, and it's one of my favourite things to do, is just chill and look at the nice clouds all around. Simple little activity, but peaceful and nice. So I'm just going to take another couple of moments. I've got some hat here, as you can see, but really important, especially with my fair Irish skin, that I wear a decent hat on a hot day like today. So just going to take another couple of minutes. I feel better now for just giving myself a little breather, and then I'm going to continue on this track behind me and make my way towards White Castle. And I still need to find that country pub for a nice cold drink and to charge up my phone as much as anything else, so I can complete this journey and show you the full trail. Talk soon. Another couple of my favourite mountains over here. You got the Skirrid, which is a really nice walk. It's got the ruins of St. Michael's Church on the top, and then you have the Sugarloaf. So this is quite an iconic landmark around here. Abergavenny's over that way as well. So that's on the eastern edge of the Brecon Beacons. You can even see Pennyvan, I think, in the distance, which is the highest point, and then the Black Mountain Ridge line, which I mentioned earlier, in Haybluff. So I love walking in the Brecons. Haven't been over that way for a little while actually, which is a shame as it's so close to me. But hopefully I'll get some time for some adventures over that way soon. But look at this beautiful countryside. But who would have thought Monmouthshire was so hilly? I feel like I've just been going uphill non-stop. I'm on this little trackway now, following up through here, and it just seems uphill, uphill, uphill all the way, and I'm not as fit as I used to be. With those foot injuries, I've not been anywhere near as active as normal, so I'm feeling it now, but still enjoying it. Wow, this is a nice patch along here. I've just had a really nice walk all along this woodland trail. It feels like I'm on the high ground now, and actually I was just looking at the map, and a hill called Edmundthump is over to my left, which I've been up before, one of the high points in Monmouthshire. So I'm up on that quite high ground now, enjoying the cool of the trees and the woodland. Follow through this trail for a bit longer and it'll bring me back out into the open countryside again. Look how lush and green it is. Beautiful. Had a little encounter with some bullocks in the field back there. I wish I'd managed a chance to record a bit of it for you, but I had to move fast. I had spoke to a couple just outside Grosmont that had come this way, and they said they'd had issues with them as well. They didn't seem particularly bothered by human presence, and they were charging over towards me, so I had to hop over the stile pretty fast and deviate around the natural trail. And obviously growing up in rural Ireland, I'm quite used to livestock in fields, and anywhere where there's large animals like cows or horses, you just have to have your wits about you and be respectful of them, and be respectful of the farmer who owns them, or the landowner, and give them the space they need. It's just a public right of way went through there, and didn't see them initially, and then suddenly there they were. Look at the light streaming through the trees here, it's beautiful. And another beautiful big beech tree here. I love big old trees like this. And even though this big bough has snapped off, it still brings so much life. There'll be fungi on here. I can see lots of King Alfred's cupcake on the base of it. They're starting to form. Lots of invertebrates will be in that dead wood as well. All the moss and lichens. Yeah, beautiful old tree. But I'm really enjoying this patch of forest here. It's really nice. Ooh, a bit bright that way. So I'm going to follow along this trail a little longer, and I should come out to a nice open vista pretty soon. And here's that vista. A little bit overcast now. Nice little bench here to sit on for a moment and enjoy the view. Wow, that was quite nice through the woodland, but quite boggy trails as you can see. So it's nice to come back into the open fields now. I'm just trying to get my bearings. Obviously that's the Skirrid up ahead and the Sugarloaf. Wonder if the Grange is somewhere around here. I need to find it as I move through the land. I just want to get an idea of where that is in relation to this trail. And White Castle is way off down here somewhere. So still lots of hiking and exploring to do. Time for another little rest first though. So this is the woodland I've just come down out of, obviously down through this sheep pasture. And heading up to the road just here. I think I'm going to be on the roads for a little bit now, which probably isn't a bad thing. I need to give my legs and my feet a little rest. And as beautiful as it was up here, it was a bit of a tough slog through the woods, but really pretty, really nice. Nice to have these guys for company too. There we go. Lost track of how many stiles I've hopped over today. Here we go, Three Castles Walk to the left. Can make ground a little bit faster on the little backcountry lanes. Nice little stream here. Almost at White Castle now. I'm feeling it, my feet are sore. can't wait to get back to Skenfrith and dip my feet in the mono, let them cool down. The Office Dyke Trail connects to this whole section as well. Oh, another style. Three Castles walk, still on the right track. I went slightly off piste a little bit further back. The signposting wasn't quite as good, or maybe I just missed it, but I missed my junction popping out on the road. But I realised my mistake pretty fast, but I was moving parallel to the pathway I should be on, so I just stayed that way. Okay, best push on. I will update when we get to White Castle. Yay, and here I am, finally. Castle number 3, the hat trick, White Castle. This is perhaps my favourite of the 3 of them. I see you can just get a silhouette at the moment. But this was quite an imposing, big castle. It faced hill country, I'm just reading this, by Welsh lords, needed to be ready for action. Yeah, this would have been quite a domineering castle in the landscape. Nice little drawbridge here. I was just chatting to a nice gentleman outside, and his wife's just come out as well. They're doing Office Dyke Trail. They're on day 2, averaging 30 kilometers a day. So that's quite a nice walk for them. Yeah, this is really impressive. I love White Castle. Haven't been here for a long time, probably a couple of years since I've been here. I remember coming here not long after moving to the area with my daughter when she was still quite little. We had some fun here. Nice drawbridge into the main keep over here at that store. Yeah, round towers, deep water-filled moat. Can you imagine trying to launch a siege on this castle? Ah, there we go, that's amazing, isn't it? You can see it a lot better now. Deep moat all the way around the edge. I'm going to take a little bit of time to relax here and recharge before the final push for Skenfrith. Still haven't found that country pub. Ooh, just popping in the side here briefly. Wow. I love all the nooks and crannies around castles. Yes, definitely super impressive. Right, I'm going to take my pack off, get my shoes off, or trainers off, and let my feet air for a little while on this nice lush grass. And hopefully on the way back towards Skenfrith I'll eventually get somewhere to get that refreshing drink and get my phone charged up, and I can give you some updates at the end of the walk then. Let me just, before I switch off this segment, bring you to this sign. Life on the inside. Yeah, the inner ward was the heart of the castle. It looked like it was quite extensive. Chapel, hall, kitchen, bakehouse, the original keep. Would have been a whole thriving, bustling array of life going on inside this castle. And now today, I have it all to myself. Still on the right track. These are the long, lonely, hard miles now. I'm tired, I'm thirsty, I'm sore. I kind of just want to get back. Probably have about 5 miles to go, I'd say. I just feel a bit spent at the moment, but I guess just take it easy, have a couple of breaks, and don't put too much pressure on myself. Still beautiful countryside. So I finally got back to Skenfrith. As you can see, it's quite late now. 20 past 8 when I got back here. I left at 10 o'clock this morning. Well, I started that first video on the bridge 10 o'clock this morning. So 10 hours I've been out and about. It was quite long, that last section. My phone had gone dead, obviously. Hi, you alright? Friendly locals. It's for my YouTube channel. You'd be on that one. Yeah, so back to where I started. Hello. Okay. So I was gasping for a drink at the end. I'd run out of water. My phone had gone dead. My map didn't cover the last sections of the trail, so I left myself a bit short, really. And this is the danger, I guess, sometimes of a spontaneous adventure. You need to be quite prepared for some of these long trails, but I'm quite familiar with this countryside. I lost the trail slightly, but I came onto the road and I knew, like, orientation wise which way Skenfrith was, so I followed that. But at one stage I found a country sign that said 3.5 miles to Skenfrith, and then I walked for what felt like 40 minutes. Maybe it wasn't quite that long, but it felt like it. And in my mind I was calculating, if I'm walking at a steady pace, that's probably a mile every 15 minutes. So I should have maybe just over a mile to go. And then I came around the bend and I saw another road sign that said Skenfrith 3 miles. And I was like, oh my god. That was a bit demoralising. So my feet are quite sore now. I'm a bit achy. But I'm going to pop down by the river just to finish off and dip my feet in the river, let them cool down a little bit. And that'll be a nice way to finish the adventure. There's my car here, so just going to get sorted. That drink in the pub, oh my goodness, probably the most anticipated and the nicest drink that I've had for a long time. Swifts are screaming again. Look, look at them up there. Love the swifts. Here I am coming back into Skenfrith again. Certainly feels a lot longer walking it than it looks on the map here around these 3 castles. And it feels like a long time since I was here this morning doing my first couple of videos. There's the iconic keep. Doesn't that look nice in the late evening light? I'm loving listening to the swifts overhead. Beautiful bird. It's always a bit sad when the swifts and the house martins and the swallows all disappear, go back to Africa. I always feel a bit sad when that happens. The swifts will be going soon. This looks beautiful in the light right now. Just gonna take a photograph of this as well, and then I'll get down to the river. Yeah, that drink in the pub, I just had a nice Coke Zero, and then a second one. There were small bottles. I don't like to drink too much of that, but and I had a small bowl of olives. I would have given my right arm for a drink at that stage. I was gasping. So it felt like a long stretch, that final haul back along the road. But good to be here, and it's gonna feel nice now, dipping my feet down in the river. It'll be nice and cool. It will help take any inflammation down and hopefully ease any pain. Sounds like there's a couple of people down here swimming. And there are. Wild swimming is so popular right now, which is good. Well, that was unexpected. I've been in for a nice swim. It's my first wild swim this year. There's 3 ladies here, there's someone else here now as well. So it's obviously quite a popular swimming spot. I just came down initially just to bathe my feet and let them recover after all the miles today, but they kind of coerced me, and I'm really glad I got in now. I don't think you'll ever regret a wild swim. So a nice swim in the Mono, late evening swim after a beautiful day hiking through the Monmouthshire countryside. I was watching a little pipistrelle bat swooping overhead. There's some fish jumping in the river as well. The swifts are still screaming overhead. So what an amazing day, end to a wonderful day. Yeah, an amazing day all round. And I've been feeling quite down lately, so this little adventure has really charged me up again. Ready for the next one now. So I'll keep you in touch for my next wild adventures. Ciao for now.